everybody. Hello, everybody. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat here. Let me know if you guys can hear me in the chat. If you guys are just now tuning in, please hit that like button. It really helps the stream. It also helps the community grow as well. Also allows me to continue to do this. Before I go on further, I just do want to mention I am not a financial advisor. Everything I do is just analysis on crypto, stocks, and so forth. Right now, XRP and crypto in general is seeing a nice little pump on the upside here, which is pretty good. We just gotta kind of watch and wait and see how this is gonna roll. Roll with exactly what we're seeing today. I'm still super bullish long term. Looking pretty good here on the short term. Yeah, everybody's having a little bit of XRP fatigue, which is natural. Yeah, right now, though, everything is looking pretty good. We just got to kind of ride the wave. Let me know what y'all think down below. Because right now we can really tell what's happening within the market. The market is pretty stable here on the short term. XRP does have a lot of room to kind of grow, and I continue to think that we're going to more than likely see that. How's it going, Tony? Oh yeah, JT. A lot of people's been like that. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Kind of just ride the wave, watch the markets. We got so much stuff happening. You know, there is good and bad both in the market right now. Gold and silver is currently up, so is the stock market. We're seeing a lot of things kind of play out exactly the way that we want it to. I think that's what everybody is kind of looking at right now, is just kind of waiting to see. Right now, it's trading around that $1.43. Currently up around 12% on Litecoin today. Dogecoin's currently up around 10 as well. Let me know what y'all think, because right now we are looking pretty good. If you take a look at Ethereum Classic, you can see we've pretty much had a steady climb on the 15-minute. Same with Litecoin, continuing this steady climb. Everybody thought it was going to continue to go down after the bearish pennant and the bearish market that we had seen. But, you know, there's always going to be an upside consolidation period. You can see we dropped down below around that 62,000. Pump back up. We flagged out here. Once we flagged out here on Bitcoin, we are starting to see that pump. Same with Ethereum, same way. Same with XRP. Very similar moves within the market. It's just depending on how you're playing it there on the short term. As what goes up is going to come down too. So that is something that we do have to pay very close attention to. I'm still currently bullish here on the short term. I do expect a little bit of movement here. Crypto market is down in general, guys, so make sure that you do understand that. You can see even on the 1 hour, what this was is going to be an inverted head and shoulders. You know, this played out identical. You know, that's something I've been waiting on to happen, is a period like this, which we are literally at the top of, getting closer back to the top here, which was right around that 2030. If we get back closer to that 2100, that would be best case scenario. But they're on the short term, breaking above this was the signal that we was getting ready to push closer up. Same with Bitcoin. You have a similar pattern on Bitcoin. It's not as clear as it should be, but you know it's playing out identical. a lot of the times whenever AI bots are trading around these levels and transactions, you're going to see a little bit of off put. And what that usually does is kind of help indicators miss trajectories or miss a pattern. So they're not likely to get in. So that's why you got to pay very close attention to each time frame yourself, even if you're automatic trading. Because sometimes it can be thrown off course for a reason. And I think that's what's happened here. It's threw a lot of people in for a loop. This was something I've been watching for a few days now. Kind of basically just riding the wave at this point. If you guys are just now tuning in, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Hitting that like button really does help out the channel. Right now, it's just the market is up and down. A lot of fear is in the market. It's all about perspective at the moment. You got a lot of people moving money from, metals over to crypto, and then you got stocks to crypto, stocks to metal. That is just going to be just a change of money in hands. And that's why you're seeing gold, silver, all kind of, rise like they're supposed to during these markets. But you're also seeing a lot of downfalls coming behind it as well. Just like we're seeing on the S&P 500, currently a bullish day. But if you take a look at the 4-hour chart, you can see that it's been pretty much up and down for the last little bit. Same with Litecoin. Litecoin making that V-shaped recovery on the 4-hour. That's why we're seeing such of a big move on Ethereum. Ethereum Classic, Litecoin, and Link. They're all seeing very similar patterns. If you take a look at Polkadot's also up around 23% today. Had a nice gain to it. We did pick it up in the group on Discord. If you are not in the group in the Discord, make sure you do check that out. Picked up some on Cardano a little bit earlier yesterday. A lot of these positions are currently green, around 5 to 15% profit, which is super nice. Right now, there's just a lot of fear in the market, And that's really the hard part about it. The fear in the market right now is really what's kind of moving along with some of these. Taking a look at the 4-hour, you can see that once we broke down below this, having trouble getting back closer to the $1.50, which I think the $1.50 is going to be the next major resistance. We are probably either going to struggle whenever we get closer to around the 146, if not the 150s. If we push a little bit higher to the 150s and reject that, what you're going to see is going to be a long-term, looks like head and shoulders pattern. If we do see that head and shoulders pattern, we could see that $1.11 again. This ain't confirmed until we reach around the $1.50. That's why I think we're getting super close to the $1.50, and it is on the 4-hour, so I mean it could take days, weeks, or even months to play out. As you can see, if you take a look at the 4-hour here, it started on the 5th of February and 6th of February, kind of making this pattern. So it took about 19 days. So once we get this right shoulder, once we hit that neckline, the head and shoulder should be confirmed. If you're just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button, as it really does help out the stream. Bitcoin, a similar pattern too. Ethereum's kind of been riding the wave. Everybody's wanting to think that this is going to become a bear flag here. Polkadot, though, is looking nice today. 23% gain. Been on the steady climb. You can even see it on XRP. XRP's doing a real steady climb, too. Remember, none of this is financial advice. Also, the volume indicator is indicating that the volume is slowing down. It is currently around 1042. We will probably see the hourly candlestick change here in about 15 minutes. You got stocks. Stocks are looking good. Coinbase stock is up 7% today. Robinhood's up around 2%. Those are all looking pretty good here on the short term. Disney stock looks like it's down on the day. Litecoin, though, is still currently trying to run. It's doing a lot better than XRP at the moment. Let's go back to XRP, kind of watch it here. We're not seeing as much bullish movement. Right now, the whole market is just kind of looking this way. Wow, pretty big green candle here. Ethereum's up around 9%. Let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think we're going to have a pretty bullish day, or are we going to continue to be a little bit bearish? Everybody wants to see this continue to climb. This is going to bring a lot of FOMO back into the crypto market. Prediction market's volume is currently down. The market right now is looking overall pretty good. I just think there's way too many people right now involved inside of the market. Too much money exchanging hands at the moment. Look at this. Nice little gain here on the short term. Still look like we're trying to climb. Right now, you guys can see the crypto fear and greed index is currently still at extreme fear of 11. You know, we've been riding this wave ever since around February 5th, around 20 days now. It's not been looking too good. The trading volume is currently down a little bit today. The market cap is trading right around 2.33 trillion. We did hit a low of around 2.19 trillion, just similar like we did back in February 5th yesterday. So you can kind of see the reason for the climb back up if we follow a similar pattern like we have the last 20 days here. If you take a look at the yearly, you can tell that the volume has really popped off within just the year. You can also see that we peaked around the market cap of the total of cryptos around 4.3 trillion, which is pretty nice. ETF net flow had a real good positive day yesterday. 57.9% dominance on Bitcoin, and Ethereum's around 10.5%. So there is some things to kind of look at. We're still kind of in Bitcoin season instead of altcoin season. We're seeing a lot of movement, and we're still seeing a lot of fear inside of the market. Now, we've lost around $309 million worth of shorts in the last 24 hours, totaling around $362 million in 24 hours. Over 100,000 traders have been liquidated, with the highest order happening on Hyperliquid of a Bitcoin value of around 11.32 million US dollars. Within the last hour, we've lost right around $62 million worth of shorts and around $3 million worth of longs. The open interest is only right around 97 billion, which is pretty low compared to what it usually is. The 24-hour liquidation is down 14% from yesterday, and the 24-hour volume that we've seen is currently up only 1% within 24 hours at around 196 billion US dollars, which is a lot of money, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of money exchange hands from market to market. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Also helps the community grow. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Are you guys bullish or bearish here on the short term? Good morning, Eugene. Right now, the market is opening pretty good on stocks. Also, gold and metal, too, is looking pretty good. Got crypto looking a little bit bullish today. XRP is only roughly up around 6%. It's been holding around this $1.30 to $1.50 pretty good. How high do I think XRP will go today? So if we take a look at the 4-hour chart, I kind of explained this a little bit earlier, but we are forming what's called a head and shoulders. We're more than likely going to retest this position of the $1.50. It's going to be a long, drawn out one. So, I mean, it could still take a while. And sometimes you'll see it play like this. We would probably hit around the 120s. But I think we were going to retest around this $1.50 again. The $1.50 resistance is going to be one that's big. If we break above it, we will probably see the 160s. But that 150 is more than likely going to be rejected if we continue around the same kind of pattern like we've seen today. Some cryptos up around 10 to 12%. XRP is kind of slacking, only up around 7%. So that's something to really pay attention to on the 4-hour here, is that we've kind of, started to draw this head and shoulders pattern. So that $1.50 would be more than likely something we're heading back to. This would also probably cause a lot of people to get liquidated. Definitely right now, shorts are being liquidated. There wasn't really many shorts actually inside of the market at the time. They've only lost roughly around, I think it was 300 million. Yeah, 300 million worth of shorts in 24 hours. A lot of them's been liquidated or took profits. So I say more than likely the longs are going to take a little bit of profits, and then more than likely they'll probably try to get people back on the FOMO train, and then that's where you'll see a lot of liquidations coming back in from the longs once we do pull back down from the $1.50 resistance. That's coming on XRP. This would also mean that we could probably try to retest around that 69,000 on Bitcoin. That would also mean, I think it's 2098. Let me see. Yeah, roughly around like the 2100s would be a good resistance for Ethereum, but I think it's around 2098. Same with Solana. You can see that Solana's made its V-shaped recovery, but it's continuing the same type of transaction, just like we're seeing on Litecoin, Polkadot, Ethereum Classic, Ethereum in general. A lot of them seeing bigger gains and kind of popping off. So there's still room to grow. At the time, as long as we get near that $1.50, we should be in good shape. But if we break above that $1.50 and hold above it for at least 8 to 12 hours, that should invalidate the head and shoulders. But a lot of times right now with AI trades, patterns are being recognized by like AI, indicators. So that is something that they're doing, is kind of throwing it a little bit off track so the indicator or AI doesn't catch that it's going to be a pattern, kind of throws it for a loop, and then it kind of makes them, go the opposite direction, or if not, stay out. So that's something that we do have to pay attention to here on the short term. No problem, Eugene. But I think Ethereum's in good shape here. I think a lot of the market is. I think we're getting ready to see another climb. Let's go to the 3-minute chart. The 3-minute chart's looking pretty good here on a lot of these. You can see the steady climb. Right now, searches, all that good stuff is currently down on crypto in general too. So right now, there's a lot of fear inside of the market and stocks, crypto, prediction markets. But the major thing to really pay attention to is going to be how the money rotates from market to market. That's why we're probably seeing a bigger gain today than we are seeing in stocks or prediction markets, precious metals. It's because a lot of people just keeps rotating capital back and forth, which is not a good thing at the end of the day, as it does dilute some of the market. Also causes more fear, as it causes more fear as people rotate, positions back and forth. That can be super impactful on the market long term and short term. I think the fear in the market right now is just a little extreme. Little extreme. I don't think a lot of new investors in crypto understood that the market would pull back as far as it did. I mean, if you take a look at like the weekly chart, you can see the massive drops. We still are closing above 65,000, which is my target number 2. If you've been watching my videos probably for like the last 3 or 4 weeks, I'll have these targets 1 and 2, and they're playing identical on the weekly and the daily charts. But that is something that we got to kind of watch out for. You know, this is the first time we've been around this same level ever since around October of 2024, which is roughly around 15 to 16 months. So you also got like the daily chart. The daily chart is also looking like a doji. If the daily will close on Bitcoin like a doji candle, this would be best case scenario because that would more than likely push us back closer to the 72,000. Oh, well, Moshi. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I got to hold with no fear. Holding it a little crazy. Yeah, exactly. Even here on Solana, you can see Solana's dropped quite a bit too. Solana's under the $100 range, which a lot of people did not expect happen. A lot of people didn't recognize that when it came. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button as it really does help out the channel. Also helps the community grow. Anybody getting Polkadot? That one's been a real good one today. Over a 22% gain. It moved pretty quick. So did Litecoin. Litecoin moved pretty quick. I don't think a lot of people is recognizing Litecoin and Chainlink, but that they do super well definitely whenever Ethereum does. Ethereum's up around 9% today. XRP is currently up around 6.5%, 7%. Once we see the retail FOMO coming back into crypto, that'll be a good case scenario. If you take a look at the 15-minute, you can see the steady climb just within the last few hours. Even on the hourly, if you look at the hourly, we're getting super close back to the same level here. Trying to retest that $1.45. Then we're going to have to retest that $1.50 here on the short term. We are looking like we're playing a position of power about right in this area. We break above this, more than likely, using analysis, we'll look around that $1.50, which would also correlate with what we see here is going to be the long-term head and shoulders. That head and shoulders could be invalid, though, if we do not make this shoulder, or if it breaks above the $1.60 to around the $1.70s, and it stays above it on the 4-hour chart for at least 8 to 12 hours. So that would be best case scenario. But right now, we are forming a pattern all the way from the February 5th drop that we had seen. More than likely going to shake out some investors here on the short term. We also got to take a look at PayPal. PayPal has dropped quite a bit within the last 10, 20 minutes too. S&P 500 is coming down a little bit. Coinbase stock had a nice little pump since last time we looked at it, around a 2% gain probably within the last 10 minutes. Same with Robinhood. Robinhood had almost a 2% gain. Litecoin, though, Litecoin is really the winner today. If you are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you do check out BitUnix with the link down below. You can deposit and get a 20% bonus. The 20% bonus is very beneficial. You can also trade to get rewards. There's 12 days left in this campaign. Even if you have a BitUnix account already, you can click the link and you can join by clicking the button right here, because there is no registration required. So you can join, deposit, and get some rewards as well, which is super good. Definitely if you're wanting to do a lot of trading within the next few days, because with the rewards, you'll get a lot of the money backs that you do in fees. If you haven't got a BitUnix account and you want to do sign up with this within just 12 days, all you got to do is come here and click this right here, and it should take you to the registration. Just make sure you have the invitation code of Josh's Finance on there, and you'll be able to get up to 2,000 USDT, which is super beneficial. So make sure you guys do come and check that out and get those bonuses and rewards. Let's zoom in a little closer here. Looks like Trump coin has even moved up a little bit today, around a 5% gain. Dogecoin struggling here, around 11%. Cardano's up around 13%. But yeah, you can tell Bitcoin is wanting to get closer back to that 70,000. We do got some resistance around that 68 too. Are y'all bullish on Bitcoin right now? It even looks like XRP is following the same pattern here on the short term. Malachi, any reason you won't answer any of my questions? I just looked through the comment section again and I'm not seeing any. Just type it again. I should be able to see it. That's the first message that you wrote. Yeah, the 1 hour does look pretty clean here. As long as we can break above around this $1.50, this would be best case scenario, but stand below would be pretty rough. How I'm taking a look at it today is going to be that we was going to retest this head and shoulders pattern eventually. I mean, you got to think, coming up here, it's being drawed out quite a bit. So getting closer back to that $1.50 would be ideal, definitely with a little bit of climb after the RSI cool off. I wouldn't be looking at really any catalyst for the pump today. We've not really seen any bullish news besides some investors getting some movement. Yeah, we're seeing a little bit of things from like Goldman Sachs today on investments, U.S. tariff deals. We've seen a little bit of those today, but those are more likely to be bearish than they would be positive. Yesterday, even Ethereum founder, he sold around $8 million within just the last 3 days of Ethereum. So that's something else that people could be looking at as, something that could be bullish. I'll pull it up here real quick. Yeah, Ethereum founder, he sold around 4,325 Ethereum within the last 3 days, and that's going to be worth over $8 million. That's what we seen a little bit yesterday. We've not really seen any big positive news today, though, which is to be expected. We've also seen some about oil output, but other than that, the crypto market is probably more than likely just kind of heading back to finish up at right shoulder, because that's also done it on Bitcoin. Same with Ethereum and a lot of these other alts. Some of these alts aren't moving as much as they should. So we just got to kind of ride the wave. Gold, silver's looking good today. Stocks are just back and forth on the 1 minute here. Not really any big sudden moves. You've seen some movement from some car manufacturers. Disney's down, also PayPal. PayPal had some news come out yesterday on it that it could be possibly acquired by Stripe. But overall, the crypto market right now is just kind of doing its own thing. Some of the money is rotating back and forth from market to market, so it's kind of unpredictable. But whenever there is a lot of FOMO coming in, that's when there is a really good time to kind of take advantage on it. The Clarity Act not really have anything on it. We haven't seen anything on the Clarity Act for quite a while. So whenever you think of the Clarity Act, it could be bullish for crypto, or it could also be bearish. It could cause some issues with some exchanges. There is quite a few things that could have good upside and good downside along with it. It just depends on what the Clarity Act is all going to mention. That's kind of how I look at it from this perspective, is that it's going to be a hit or miss on if it's a good thing or not. Like, it'll probably make it where you can't rug meme coins and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like a lot of meme coins and stuff now are really, really hard to even get into. But I think it'll affect exchanges more. Same with taxes. Like this year with taxes, you got the 1099 DAs. A lot of people's been struggling with their 1099 DAs along with the Form 8949s. A lot of impactful moves. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Bitcoin slowly moving. Same with Ethereum. We really need to kind of see us pop off for it to kind of play out exactly the way we want it to. I'm still a little bit bullish here. I think we're going to get closer to that $1.50. The $1.50 XRP, that would also put us around the 69,000 Bitcoin. 2,100 Ethereum would be a good range to kind of look at. Same with Solana hitting roughly around that 91. Ethereum Classic could also climb closer to that $10. Litecoin has kind of really already seen its major breakout. I would like to see it retest the 62 though. If you are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Also helps the community grow. Make sure you guys do check out the Discord. It's a link down below in the description. We've got a free Discord you guys can join. We can talk in it. You can ask questions, communicate with other crypto investors. Kind of riding the wave of Litecoin here. Litecoin on the hourly is looking nice. It really popped off when it crossed around the moving average and broke above the trend. It all played pretty significant. It rode the waves perfect right there on the moving averages along with the trend. So you can definitely tell this is a TA move. Around 100,000 traders been liquidated in 24 hours. Let's take a look. Still currently in extreme fear. Still in Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance 57.9. Ethereum net flow yesterday had $9.2 million increase with $257 million on Bitcoin, totaling roughly around a positive net of around $266.9 million. The largest single liquidation order happened on Hyperliquid, Bitcoin value of around $11.32 million. Oh yeah, the market is slowing down. I mean, you got to think we're getting closer to lunchtime, so you'll probably start to see some more volume and volatility right around like 2 p.m. to around 4 p.m. Eastern time, right before stock close. That is usually whenever you're going to see the most volatility and volume is the start of the market, and then right after lunch, and then you see another spurt right around the end of the market open. That's why you've really seen it kind of pump up. Oh yeah, saying XRP is going to be $100 is insane. Even if it doesn't hit $1.50 today, it still has a lot of room to grow to get closer to the $1.50. I mean, you got to think, right before we had this doji candle was yesterday. The doji candle means a reversal. So you guys can kind of see that here. Has a doji candle, and then you see the reversal. So that's another way that you could have played today's market is using that doji candle as indicating that this is a bearish trend. Doji candle means reversal. So there's the bullish trend. That's exactly what we hit is the top of this cycle here, which would be roughly around the 146, which we've pretty much already tapped into. The $1.50 could easily be tapped again as long as we get closer back to these levels we seen back on 16th of February and where we rejected on 6th of February after we had seen this major V-shaped recovery. And then we consolidated, we broke the trend back down, crossed the moving averages here, and we're starting to look like we're crossing the moving average here on the 4-hour. Until we cross the moving average here, that should give us a little bit of room to gap up. If we don't gap up, the head and shoulders still are into play because, look, you're still going to have a long position playing out from head and shoulders. This is a pattern coming all the way back from February 5th. That is 20 days, almost 3 weeks ago from where we've seen this pattern start to kind of set itself up. You're going to have times of consolidation and low volume and volatility. With bear markets, you see less searches, you see more people just panic sell and not be interested in the market in general. So once that FOMO comes back, that's when the money really starts to kind of change back into a better trajectory. Like today has brought a lot more volume than it has probably within the last 7 days. So really a lot of it is just going to be back and forth. It's like a ping pong game whenever people move from, crypto to stocks, stocks to crypto, metals to stocks, metals to crypto, and so forth. Remember, guys, none of this is financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. This is just entertainment purposes only. Make sure you do your due diligence. If you guys do like this type of content, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. It also helps the community grow. We do got a free Discord you guys can join, ask questions anytime. Got around 2,600 members in there. Looking pretty steady here on the $1.44. Volume is definitely down. Seeing even Litecoin kind of cooling off here. Same with H-bar. ICP, though, is currently pumping. I just got a notification there was a well buy in ICP, which was super clean. You even got Algo. Algo is currently up around 10%. Gold back and forth being up around 1% on the day. Silver pumped above that $90 range, up around 3% on the day. S&P 500 had a short little climb there, but it's cooling back off too. Do y'all think we're going to get closer back to that $2 or $1? Yeah, it's all of crypto. all the crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything's really being affected. A lot of the market is currently down. I mean, if you take a look at Bitcoin and you peak it from the all-time high to currently where we're at the 67,000. So we're looking at roughly down 46% within 140 days. That is a major drop. 50% of the market cap is roughly right around $1 trillion gone. We lost over $2 trillion overall in the crypto market. Crypto market's volume right now is actually pretty low compared to what it usually is. So if we take a look here, you'll see that the market cap of 2.33 trillion currently, but if you look at whenever we peaked the total crypto market cap of 4.28 trillion on October 6th of 2025. So right now we're down 1.95 trillion. So 1.95. So with a $0.05 trillion more, which if we go below the 2.28 trillion market cap, we will be currently down $2 trillion from the all-time high of the peak of the crypto market bull run of 2025 of October. So that is something substantial to kind of look at too, as we've lost over 50% of the total market cap. Yeah, I think we're still going to be sideways for a while. I mean, it's to be expected. The market is going to trade, on the upside, downside. We're going to go into phases where we're going to see big pumps and big dumps. It's just a part of just how the market works in general. Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin, all of them kind of play in a similar position and patterns. But some altcoins usually hit harder, but they also dump harder. So it's always kind of like that hit or miss on which one is going to be the one to get in. So you got to kind of go base off of like previous trends and so forth. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. It also helps the community grow. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask down below. It's sometimes hard to entertain Malachi whenever we are not really seeing big movements or big volatility within the market. Kind of makes it a little bit harder. Yeah, everybody thinking sideways for a little while. Yeah, right now everything is pretty much a whole game. A lot of people, they did a lot of tax harvesting at the end of the year last year. Usually quarter one is pretty bearish anyways for the market. Quarter one is always hit or miss. Majority of the time, if you look statistically, the first few months within the new year is always going to be a little bit bearish, low volume, and less activity. That's to be expected. Definitely with how much we've dropped on crypto in general, that's brought a lot of fear into the market. Like you guys can tell whenever you just look at, search history, you look at volume, all the numbers are currently down overall. Yeah, it's definitely a slow climb. See, whenever you kind of look at it like this, you're looking at it from a different perspective of the candlesticks. But if you zoom in closer, a lot of the times, if you zoom in, you kind of looking at the open and the close of the candlestick. So it can change. So it ain't always looking at it from, is it bullish or bearish or so forth. So if you take a look at this, like this candlestick is actually pretty big. They have one of open and close and so forth. So that's why a lot of the times you'll see a lot of people kind of switch back and forth is because they're trying to look for a trend or they're trying to look for something that kind of stands out to kind of help predict the next move. See, like even if you take a look at Bitcoin, guys, you can see we got that V-shaped recovery. That looks exactly like where we're heading, right around that 68.7 that I talked about earlier. That's without even seeing the V-shaped recovery. And some cryptos will have bigger candlesticks sometimes too, Malachi. Or it could be the platform too. I've seen some like if you use like BTC, BitUnix, Coinbase. If you look at their candles and try to do TA on there, you'll have different size candlesticks sometimes, and a lot of the times that could also be due to spread. So the spread does matter a lot. If you guys are just now tuning in, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Let me know what you guys think down below. How's Chainlink doing? Chainlink's actually doing very well. If you take a look at Chainlink on the 15-minute, you can see it's been a steady climb on the 15-minute chart. We hit around that $8, and we've really been super bullish since. It's currently up around 15% just on the daily here. I do expect if we do pull back, we're going to see a bigger drop on Chainlink. But the bigger drop is probably not going to offset the gains of the market currently unless we see a continuous movement of Bitcoin back down to below 60,000 and Ethereum below 1,700 and XRP below that $1.11. You know, a lot of these right now are looking super bullish, which I agree with. That's why I'm thinking that Bitcoin is getting ready to get closer back to that movement we talked about earlier of getting back to that 68.7. That would also have XRP trying to get closer back to that $1.47 and that $1.50 range. Zoom in a little bit closer because that looks like it could be possibly a doji candle. But Chainlink's obviously doing pretty good. Yeah, Chainlink's been doing pretty good for a while. Our position on it's been super nice. I know we picked it up sometime yesterday. Let me take a look at the 1 hour chart. See whenever we picked it up. Yeah, we picked it up roughly right around here. Currently trading around that 939. So yeah, we're up currently around 14% within about 15 hours. We'll probably end up taking about a 13 to 20% profit on it. We're trying to ride the wave to see if it's going to get a little bit closer, but that's probably whenever I'd probably want to cut it for a short-term trade, is roughly around that 15 to 20%. Even Solana's been doing pretty well too. A lot of these V-shaped recoveries are playing out exactly like they're supposed to. What do y'all think about the Ethereum founder selling around $8 million worth of Ethereum over the last few days? He definitely missed out on some profits for sure. Yeah, XDC hasn't really done well for about anybody that I know. Onyx Coin's another one. It ain't really done very well. I mean, if you take a look at it back from the January pump, it had a nice little January pump, but I mean, it literally dropped pretty much right after. Like, I mean, you really had to kind of trade Onyx Coin very quickly. But XDC is another one that's the same way. Sometimes it's good to hold the bag for those runs, but it all depends on the entry. Same with Bonk. Bonk is currently the same way. It moves pretty freely and it moves up on the upside if you take a look at like the 15-minute. But I mean, it doesn't see enough volume. It's got a lot of people holding it, kind of using it for the meme coins pretty much. What's Bitcoin look like? So let's go ahead and let's take a look back at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, you kind of got this inverted head and shoulders. Okay. So you can kind of see it play out here. So an inverted head and shoulders kind of go like this, where it's the opposite of the head and shoulders. Okay. So you can kind of see it's playing out identical. Pretty much identical. So that's another reason why I do think we're going back to closer to that 68.7. We also have that V-shaped recovery, and all of that's making sense, getting closer back to the 68.7 and that $1.50 XRP. And then after that, we could be setting up for the right shoulder, which would be the opposite of the inverted head and shoulders, which would be the head and shoulders. So that could send us back down as well. But right now we're having a lot of AI trading and indicators and stuff kind of being moved around to kind of offset to make sure that the pattern doesn't get knocked off by other AI or indicators indicating that something is getting ready to happen, and it kind of signals that, oh, it's this kind of pattern. So they've been kind of knocking it off a little bit so the indicators and AI doesn't really catch on to it. So you'll have it kind of offset just a little bit but still play out identical, and what that does is knock out some of the indicators and the AI bots that are used. So that's something that we're seeing right now pretty much overall in the crypto market. We're also seeing it on stocks. The S&P 500 is just back and forth, up and down. PayPal's up and down. Automobile, like Lucid, Neo, they're down. Robinhood had a nice little pump, around 5% gain. Coinbase stocks currently up around 10.55%, which is super nice. Gold is also seeing a climb, same with silver. So hopefully the whole market, we start to see some bigger moves here on the short term. If you are just now tuning in, guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. It also helps the community grow. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you do check out BitUnix with the link down below. You can deposit to get up to a 20% bonus, trade to get rewards. Even if you got a BitUnix account, come sign up for this. You can get the 20% bonus and trade to get rewards, all with the link down below in the description. If you don't have a BitUnix account, you can sign up the same way and join this. You just got to click on it, deposit to get 20% bonus, and trade to get rewards. Click here if you don't have an account, and you can just make sure you got the invitation code of Josh's Finance, and you'll be able to get access to around 2,000 USDT. Also, you can trade to get rewards, which is super beneficial. Yeah, Tesla's been really struggling lately. I will say that. If you take a look at Tesla, Tesla had its nice little earnings report, but you also kind of seeing that big downturn as well. It was a lot of options sold this morning just because Tesla had that nice little jump. So if you take a look at like the 15-minute, you can kind of see the consolidation here had a nice little pump. But what everybody's expecting is kind of seeing a pattern like this where we kind of come back out. We will probably end up breaking out of a trend either on the downside or the upside on it. Tesla, though, is one of the ones that you really got to pay attention to when it comes to earnings, because it could easily be a hit or miss. People selling off of it after it had a nice little jump this morning. Yeah, Bitcoin struggling around this 68,000. We're getting ready to get closer to lunchtime. We may see some volume right before lunch. Right now, we just waiting on the overall market. That's what I'd be waiting on. Looks like Solana's up around 10% on the day. Chainlink's bouncing back and forth. Litecoin on its run again. Looked like they was a whale picked up around $50 million worth of Litecoin about an hour ago. We do got some tariff news that just come through, it looks like. I'll put it up on here. So it says, China warns it will retaliate if U.S. imposes new tariffs. So I guess China will probably do something if the U.S. imposes new tariffs on China. So that's just something that we're going to have to kind of wait on and see. This was about 20, 30 minutes ago. So I say that's probably why gold and silver is kind of popping back off. Definitely with gold moving up a little bit. Even silver had a nice like 1% pump just off of that. Yeah, it does look like the market wants to come down a little bit. If you're just now tuning in, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to be notified when I do post a video or go live on YouTube. You guys can join the free Discord with a link down below in the description. I will also post it here for you guys to be able to join. If you do like this type of content, hit that like button and subscribe. I just want to thank every one of y'all for tuning in and watching. I will be posting a video later. I just want to thank everybody in here once again. Hope you have a great day. Also, thank you, Glacier Straight.